Hello everyone, I welcome you all to this video lecture series on advanced persistent threats, attribution and detection. So in the previous lectures we have seen couple of state-of-the-art techniques in APT attribution. But from this lecture we will try to look into the APT detection mechanisms. So in this very first lecture we will try to look into one of the state-of-the-art APT detection mechanism called MLAPT. So let's get started. So the broad idea of this MLAPT is that detecting the APT attacks by using machine learning and correlation analysis. So here the key fundamental problem is that many of the old school APT detection mechanisms try to the reverse engineer the malware samples, and they try to identify the malware samples at the different stages of APT life cycle, and based on that thing they are trying to detect the APT attacks. But those research end up having high false positive values because APT attacks are persistent, and they stay inside the network for a long time, and they spread across different life cycle phases of APT. So these are called multi-stage APT attacks. So the traditional old school techniques are not able to give a fruitful results for real-time APT detection. So in order to address this problem, Gafir and his research team has proposed this MLAPT framework. So broadly speaking, there are three main phases of this MLAPT framework. The first phase was threat detection, and second phase was alert correlation, and the third phase was attack prediction. So for each of these phases they have come up with different modules and submodules to identify the threats. So first, in the very first threat detection phase, they came up with 7 or 8 submodules. So unlike the traditional old school techniques, so here in this technique they will try to capture all the network data, and they will pass this network data to this series of submodules, and each of this submodule has a specific task to identify. So let us look at the each of these submodules so that you will get a better understanding. So in the first, disguised file detection module. So this file detection module detects the content of the file is exe or not, even though the real extension of this file is not exe. So it will see many times the attacker, what the attacker will do is like they will try to wrap this exe content by giving some other extension to the files. So this file detection module will specifically look for this kind of disguised files in the network. And the second one was malicious file hash detection module. So whenever some data has been downloaded to this victim network, this file hash detection module will try to generate SHA-256 and MD5 hash values for all the downloaded data, and they will try to map those things with the blacklisted file hashes from VirusTotal. And the third one is malicious SSL certification detection module. So whenever there is some the connection failure or happens inside the network, so it will try to get those SSL certificates of these failed connections, and they will try to map it with the blacklisted SSL certificates that are officially available through some API calls. And similarly, they will try to detect malicious domains, DJ domains, and malicious IP addresses by using malicious domain detection submodule and the malicious IP detection submodules. And the main idea of this domain flux detection module is that whenever some connection termination happens, so most of the time, so they will keep on changing. So attacker will describe a couple of DGA domains, and only few of the domains are really active in the time of C2C communication. So but this malware payload tries all these try to resolve the domain names for all these malicious domains that are previously hard coded. So this will try to look at the failed DNS queries to identify whether any malicious activity is going on inside the network. And the scan detection module will look for the failure connection establishment requests, and similarly tar connection detection module will try to look whether is there any tar connection active in this particular victim network or not. So these are all the sub modules present in the threat detection phase. So all these sub modules will raise a series of alerts, and then the alert correlation module will try to the filter redundant alerts, and they try to cluster these alerts within a time span, and then they try to find out the correlation between these alerts. You will get a better understanding whenever you go through the MLAPT architecture. In the next slide you will get a better understanding. And next, in the attack prediction module, so here the idea is that every time all these alerts doesn't necessarily lead to APT attacks. So sometimes some of them are partial, and some of them are called as a sub APT scenarios. So they have built a ML model with by considering the previous 6 months of network traffic data, and based on that thing they have built a supervised learning models, and the supervised learning models will try to look into this sub APT scenarios, and they will calculate the probability of converting the sub APT scenarios into full APT scenarios, and based on that thing it will raise the alerts to network security and monitoring team in the real time. So this is the high level idea of this MLAPT framework. So if you look at the architecture you will get a better understanding. So all the network traffic is passed through this series of submodules that we have discussed in the earlier slide, and all this detection module will raise a series of events or alerts, and based on these alerts the correlation framework will remove the redundant alerts, and they will try to cluster those alerts, and attack clustering will happen based on whether these APT scenarios or this alert belongs to same APT scenarios, or whether these APT scenarios are happening within this particular time bound, or if some particular event are happening outside this time bound, it was considered, and it was considered as a false positive, and then it will be ignored. So it's like that. Based on the time span it will cluster these APT alerts. And finally the prediction module. So here the prediction module task is to get the previous network data and make a model out of it by using various ensemble models or supervised learning models, and it will predict that this sub APT scenario will convert into full APT scenario, and based on that thing it will raise the alerts. So here the key important thing in this MLAPT architecture is that, so it was not just like identifying the threats at the single level of APT lifecycle. So as we have seen in this table, so it will spread across all the different life cycle phases of APT, and it will try to identify the threats from point of entry to external C2C communication and data exfiltration. So all these submodules that they have designed are by considering this multi-stage APT scenario. So that's why it was considered as one of the state of the art detection mechanism with respect to APT attacks. Now what is sub APT scenarios and what is full APT scenarios? So we all have seen the life cycle phases of APT. So there are broadly speaking 6 or 7 phases in this APT life cycle. So here in this research paper they have considered these four steps as a traditional point of entry to data exfiltration phase. So these are all the standard things that they have considered. And if you see while observing APT events, so every time all these attacks or all these alerts need not to be in that very specific manner, sometimes. So we will say that, apt attack is a full apt scenario when all these phases like point of entry, control and command server communication, and data discovery and data exfiltration happens, then it was considered as a full apt scenario. But it was not the case that every time these four scenarios should work. So sometimes, let us consider this case. So either B or C and D. So it will say that, the C to C communication happened, and then after that C or D. So either it will, either it will scan for the network, or it will try to establish a Tor connection. So these are all called as sub APT scenarios. Here, the idea of this prediction module is to find out and identify this kind of sub APT scenarios and probability of turning it into a full APT scenarios. So based on that thing, they will raise the alerts. And then the security team will, try to look at that particular host machine where this attack is happening, and then they will try to take down that particular machine from the network to minimize the damage, even without spreading this malware to all other, machines in the network. So this is the high level idea of this MLAPT framework. So now we will look into the pros and cons of this MLAPT, detection mechanism. So as I said earlier, so this MLAPT framework will cover wide range of APT steps, unlike the previous literature, and they have designed very segregated modules to identify the different phases of APT life cycle. So this was considered as a state of the art technique at that particular point of time, and it has bypassed the previous detection accuracy. So by using this MLAPT framework, we are able to achieve 84% in terms of APT detection. So it's a quite good APT detection rate when compared to the previous results. But these are all the positive sides. While looking at the negative sides, we do have couple of issues, and while reading this paper I faced a couple of glitches, or couple of loopholes where I have identified. So coming to the first one, so first phase, they have designed a disguised file detection module to see whether the content of the file is exe or not, even though the extension is not an exe. But this kind of submodule detection can be easily bypassed with the latest lol bins. So lol bins means load offline binary. So previously, so attacker will design the malware payload, and he will try to push that malware payloads to victim network. But lol bins are like, once the machine got infected, so it will try to use the legitimate binaries or exes that are available in the victim machine, and they will try to craft a payload by using those legitimate services, and then they will try to use those legitimate services and the applications for the malicious purpose. So this was the latest TTPs that most of the APT attacks are using. So this kind of lol-bins attacks can easily bypass this disguised file detection module. And the second loophole that I have observed is that, for attack prediction, they are using the previous 6 months data for, to construct the machine learning model. So these APT scenarios are very dynamic, and they are very agile in nature. So APT actors are very agile in nature. So by considering the previous 6 months data as a fuel to kickstart this prediction module, it sometimes doesn't make any sense. So that was the second loophole that I have observed. And coming to the tar detection module, so this tar detection module is kind of deprecated. So now they are not using this tar detection module. So they are using custom encryption techniques, and they are using various other techniques to exfiltrate the sensitive data to their C2C servers by using various legitimate ways. So I kind of felt that this tar detection module is kind of deprecated. And Another thing is that the experimental data, they have used only for 2 weeks, and they have simulated all these full APT scenarios and sub APT scenarios and some random events, just for in a college simulated college environment for a week. So I don't know whether how this will be efficient enough, in order to detect these APT attacks in a large scale network where we have thousands of nodes and sub networks with connected with VPNs, etc. So I don't know whether how much efficient this model will be in the real time deployment. So these are all the few gray areas that I have observed, and I suggest you to go through this paper once again, and feel free to drop me a mail. And if you have identified any other pros and cons of this MLAPT framework, please do drop me a mail or comment in this section so that we can have a fruitful discussion. So that's all about MLAPT framework. Hopefully we will see other detection mechanisms in the next lectures. So I thank you everyone. So hopefully we will see in the next lecture. Thank you.